Hello, Courtney. Can you hear us? Can you see us?
I can. What a cute setup.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get like over that.
Everyone
I
loves
agree. It's just been so long that we didn't have something that when it finally
Look
got,
at this.
right? When we finally got put together, it just feels like such an accomplishment. I mean, it's falling apart a little, but it's so great to actually have a space that has some sort of decor and a sign.
I
This is
love
going to
that.
be so offside, but like your face is so lovely and sweet. It's so hard to think that you were a villain. That's so hard. Like you have such a likable, like right off, like without even talking. I'm like, that's so crazy.
Oh.
They pinned you as a villain.
Okay, so for any of the people that are listening and who are unaware, this is Courtney Robertson, and she is the most notorious villain in Bachelor history. Gosh, I feel like there was so many notorious ones. I can't believe you're the
Has
most.
there any men one?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if we just did a woman notorious one, or men were
But
involved.
I guess you just want to be the most of anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She won season 15 of The Bachelor and went on to write the New York Times bestseller, I Didn't Come Here to Make Friends, Confessions of a Reality TV Show Villain. Now you have your podcast, After Reality, where you weigh in on current episodes of the Bachelor franchise, pop culture news, and every week you talk with reality stars about how being on reality TV changed their lives for the better or for the worse. You are now married and you have 2 children, and your husband's name is Umberto.
Yes, I like it when you say it like that.
Where is
Hey.
Umberto from?
Hey guys, you know what? He grew up here in Arizona, but yeah, he's a Latino.
The name is just sexy in itself.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been since
Since season 16.
But season 16, how many seasons are
I
there?
don't even know.
Exactly. How long has it been?
Since
Right.
then.
It's been about, gosh, you guys, like 12 years. So it's been a hot minute. Yeah.
It's been 12 years since you won The Bachelor.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's good. The farther I get away from it, I like love that. It took a while to get my life back on track just because it was so crazy. So now it's fun to be on the other side, and they just had me back for a group date, and it was fun.
But wait, not to date him. Not to go on a date? Are you in an open marriage? Oh my God, it's Bachelor open marriage.
So
No, I was hosting with the Lotto, the singer Lotto, on a group date for Zach Shallcroft's season. And yeah, came out of retirement to show the girls how to be baddies. They'll be bad girls.
Oh my God. Okay, so when you won season 16, what
I
have
was
you
going to
done?
say, being a bad girl, don't you just need like copious amounts of alcohol, a hot tub, and like some hair extensions, and then you all become baddies? Yeah or no?
Yeah, just skip a meal. Mm-hmm, exactly.
Day drink and then go on the date at nighttime. That's all you need.
Season 16 was the one that you won. Is that the first and only time you were on the show?
Yes, yeah. They invited me for Bachelor in Paradise. I almost did it. Looking back, I probably should have. That would have been a hoot and a half. But I was seeing somebody at the time, and my book had just come out, and I was like, shit, they're probably gonna make me the villain again, but I would have been able to go to Mexico. And yeah, I was on Ben Flajnik season. Do you guys watch the show?
No, I watched like, it's like, how there's like so many, and like I would say we watch it here and there, but we're not like devoted. And actually it's been a while, but I definitely remember.
You used to watch religiously with a glass of wine on Monday night.
I know. It's
a lifestyle. And you guys have a Canadian Bachelor, which I've met the one that was his name.
Jesse?
God, I can't think. No, was it Brad? He picked I can remember her name. Gosh, she's like does like hosting.
Well, we have there was Brad,
Vanessa?
but also there's the successful ones that are married with child.
I think it was Brad. I think his name was Brad, and he is not with he picked Bianca, and they're not together anymore. This was probably a long time ago.
Brad was like Brad that we've done.
Yeah.
But the successful ones.
He's the firefighter.
Yeah. And they live in Hamilton.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Go ahead, Natalie.
So yes, I do remember. I do remember your season, but that's just how blurry. I mean, that was 12 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah. And mom brain, it's a real thing. I mean, how
No
can you?
kidding.
Nobody. It's like brain pollution. I always tell people the show's like 2 hours every night to watch. I mean, that's why I've been bringing back some OG contestants to just be like, hey, what happened to your life? Where are you at? What's going on?
I have a real question for you.
Yeah. hit me with it.
The other ones were fake questions.
Do you think The Bachelor, the way it is working, has changed since you were there? Like, are they still not performing, are they still executing the episodes sort of the same way? Like, has anything changed since you left?
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. I mean, back in my day, I hate to say it. I mean, a lot has happened, but there have been lawsuits and, I hate to say it, but they didn't have a lot of diversity on the show.
Yeah.
And now we've had two black bachelorettes and one black bachelor. And that was a big one. That's changed, just the diversity of the show. There's been a lot of change in the franchise. I mean, COVID hit. Those COVID seasons were awful because they couldn't travel, which people love to watch the show for the travel. I mean, who doesn't want to? I got engaged in Switzerland and the travel was incredible, but the budget has cut back a lot. I'm watching Gary Turner's season right now, The Golden Bachelor, by the way. They have barely traveled at all, which, I've heard that they've had budget cuts, which I'm like, is this ABC, people?
That's why you watch.
Yeah, I love it. I want to see, if you're going to watch for 2 hours, it's fun to see them in Thailand and, see all these tropical places. But I mean, so much has changed, you guys, obviously. And then back in my day, there wasn't social media. Like Instagram had just become a thing. I think there was Twitter. I call it Tweeter. But this idea of getting a following wasn't in anybody's minds. But now people see, like Caitlin Bristow, for example, she has a wine label. She has a successful podcast. She won Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are coming off with, they were, not in my day, coming off with 1 million followers. So, they're parlaying it into careers. And so I think the contestants going on obviously know that. So you're just getting a different cast.
You think though that if you're the villain and you have social media, you want to be on social media as a villain? No, right? You're gonna get bullied.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd love to ask you guys. I mean, I'm sure you deal with trolls all the time. I mean, you've got a large social media following. And I got, back in the day, I had my modeling website up. I got so much hate mail. I got death threats. I had people sending mail to my parents' house. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. I had paparazzi following me everywhere, hitting up everybody that had ever met me. My ex-boyfriend sold a nude photo of me for $20,000. Yeah.
No, he did not. How long did you date him for?
Almost 2 years. And he was such a loser. And I was so pissed. But people were selling stories on me and making up this crazy stuff. So it was a different time. That was when the tabloids really spent a lot of money to find dirt on you. And I was the chosen one. That was the thing that was so weird. They had never really made, I hate to say winner, the villain, but they did for me. So it was just crazy. It was a weird thing to go through.
How did, if I'm thinking about my daughter's not going on. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be her life, but she's too young to be on it. My daughter's going to go on. There's a few questions. How do you ensure that you're not going to be portrayed the villain, or did they tell you to lean into a villain character, or how did it happen that you became that?
Or did you not know till you watch back and you're like, oh shit, I'm the villain?
I knew I was going to be the villain the first episode that aired. I had no clue leading up until that moment. And I would tell your daughter that there's nothing you can do to not be the villain. I'm just sorry. There's hours and hours of footage and they ask you questions. They Frankenbiting, I don't know if you know what that is, but they can actually take multiple sentences and then kind of splice them together to make you saying something that you're not saying.
And they did that?
Oh yes, they do it. But it's a TV show. And even before we start filming, let's say we're all sitting around at a cocktail party and he's about to come in, they're like, okay, let's make a TV show. Nobody get up, we'll get you a cocktail. But they just have so much to pull from. And the comments that got me the most in trouble were probably voiceovers. And when I watched it back, I was like, oh my gosh, I said that not in that country, or it wasn't even pertaining to that. I mean, I won't lie, though. I'm not going to blame the edit because I said things like winning. Charlie Sheen was big at that time. And, I got a little too comfortable and saucy in my interviews. But they told me, these girls are all talking shit about you. They tell you what other people are saying. So then they just show your reaction to that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so for those people who don't know, because I don't think a lot of people know how TV works, but you probably sign a contract without like a full legal team looking over every detail. So you,
100%. Yeah.
and you
Really?
probably just were like, sign and like, let's carry on. And when you do that, you really can't do anything after the fact. Like you're basically, it doesn't matter if they see you in a bad light. It doesn't matter if you didn't say that. There's nothing you can do, right? Like it's just like you have signed, and the only people who probably don't make it on are the ones who redline things and are like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. And then
they wouldn't let you on if you did that. There's no, with the Warner Brothers attorneys team, there's no redlining. It's like a thick NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And I had my sister, who's a really smart attorney, read through it, and it basically takes away all of your human rights. But I remember I just whizzed through it. I was like, you just initial every corner and then you sign it, but it's thick NDA. And that's why it was so hard to pull off my book, because I mean, you basically say like, the idea is like, you can't talk about the show or the show secrets anywhere in this galaxy. But little fun story for you guys. I went skinny dipping on my season.
Okay. So you went skinny dipping on your season.
Yep. I went skinny dipping. And it was a big deal at the time. I got slut shamed after that. And you kind of forget you're filming a show. And I just wanted, like, to me, he seemed really boring, to be quite honest with you. I was like, let's just mix this up. I was 28. His name was Ben Flanick. He was a winemaker from Sonoma. He had kind of like the floppy hair.
Remember him. I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the promo goes out, the first time the promo goes out on Good Morning America, they had said, if you do this, like everything will be censored. And the promo goes out to Good Morning America. There are no censors. It's like my bare ass, my chi-chis are out. And like, I had a pretty successful modeling career. And I just called production. I was like, you guys, like, this is like so crazy. Like and they pulled it. But by that point in time, it was already out living on the internet. So everybody saw me nudie. And that's
Were you dying?
I was dying inside. Yeah. And I remember the camera was so far away when they filmed it. And it was fun. That was probably the most fun I had on the show. But like, that's just an example of like, there's nothing I could do about it. Like they told me that it would be censored and all this. And now you see the black boxes, how they do that. And I'm like, where was my black box on Good Morning America?
I feel like we've talked to people who were a part of the franchise and they cannot talk about anything. How are you able to talk about everything?
Well, that's a good, they're definitely, so when I wrote my book, I got a call from Warner Brothers saying like, we're getting ready to send you a cease and desist. They saw me on ETV. I was like at my book photo shoot launch and I was like, I'm writing a tell-all. And like I said, at my sister, I had attorneys read the contract and like they said, this takes away all of your human rights and you live in a free country. And there's a lot about my story that was prior to the show. And so they were going to send me a cease and desist. And I had already had a book deal with HarperCollins. So I just said, hash it out with HarperCollins. And they did. They worked together and I was thankfully able to pull it off. But yeah, they hashed it out. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Hopefully that maybe my computer froze. Yeah. So Warner Brothers and HarperCollins worked on it together and they only made me take a couple things out of the book. But yeah, and my bachelor was not happy.
Yeah, but it makes me feel like when we've spoken to some people and like, you can't talk about anything, can't do anything. I'm like, find out your rights. Like this is the rest of your life, and you have to take experiences that you had. If you want to be public or you want to write books or you want to talk about your life, you should be able to talk about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I know that they have sued some people, but I've, like I said, I just went back and did a group date with them. Like I had worked with them and Mike Fleiss, and he just got pushed out. There's been a lot going on with that. He created the show, but I remember I was like, hey, I'm trying to write a book. Can you help me get this pushed along? And he's like, I'll do what I can. Wow. I didn't badmouth the show. I just talked about what it was like filming it and like how I felt in that moment. You can't really take that away from somebody.
No, you can't.
And there wasn't social media when you did it. So I'm assuming now they have to have it so lock and key because people can begin to look at you somewhere and like, oh, they were there and that's where so-and-so lives. So they must be with that person. Like, I think we talked to someone who said after the show, they had to go to like an undisclosed area and not leave that place.
Yeah.
It was until it was like, until the show was aired. And they were
Did you talk
at
to
the end.
Colton? Did you say Colton
Yeah.
Underwood?
Yeah. I feel like they got put into a place.
Yeah. So after filming, it's like two months before it even airs. So they set you up with happy couples. And yeah, you go to like, you can't leave the house. Like we were like in Montecito, like Santa Barbara area, just hold up and they bring you food. And I mean, I can even have him saved in my phone under his name. They do a really good job of like not like wanting the show to get spoiled. I mean, if you think about it, they spend so much money on it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then our relationship was very rocky. He was the one that you guys was rumored to be dating Kris Jenner. I don't know if you remember that.
When he was dating you?
Yeah, Nat, get your phone out. No,
Okay,
after
got it. I
that.
got it. What's the last name again? When I see him, I'm going to know him.
Ben Flanick, Kris Jenner.
Oh, I'm just dying right now. Like what? I don't know. We live in Canada. Maybe we missed that.
Flajnik. Yeah. He was at like what was Girls Gone Wild guy's house in Mexico. They were like in the pool. Was it Joe something?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. How long did you date him for?
We were engaged for about 11 months and yeah. And then I moved on. It was just not working. I think being in a public relationship is tough. And then, but I will say we reconnected. He didn't talk to me after the book came out for like 2 years. He was pissed. He was so
Why?
pissed because I talked about our sex life. I talked about fantasy suites. I mean,
Did you have sex with him during The Bachelor?
Of course. That's a clown
Like
question.
during the filming, you have sex.
Well, I mean, we went skinny dipping. Hello. That was also part of it. Like you're not mic'd out there. That's in my book. And then we did you do the fantasy suites, which is the first time that you're really unmiked with like unsupervised. And that's kind of like, you're not going to buy a car without test driving it. Am I right?
Oh my God. Yes.
So he gets to go have sex with 4 people in house.
Three
and how
his
fast
season.
of a span? Like how within a week? Like 3 in a week?
Within a week.
3 in a week.
Within a week. And I was the last one. I was like, wow, I'm like in Switzerland, like shopping, going to flea markets, like getting massages on ABC's dime. And then I was the last one. And then they're like, okay, tonight's the rose ceremony. I was like, shit, I was the last one. Then I figured it out.
So do they talk? Okay, when you're like on your fantasy date, how long is it? And you in that moment have to decide whether you are ready to say yes to this person you've had sex with once and been unsupervised once with.
Yes. So let me see here. So we have like a day date and then it's the night portion. And then we had like a little ski chalet. So we had like, I would say from like, let's just say 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. we were unsupervised, no cameras, which I have heard that they have recordings in there. I have heard this. This is like, I know I have heard that. I don't know if that's true or fake news, but I've heard that they like have some sort of way of like audio. But yeah, so that was
so
like 2.5 months into filming, 2.5 months. So I was gone for a long time, shut off from the world. And then you're like so excited to get to fantasy suites because you're like, tell me everything off camera. And he told me right away, like, it's you, I'm madly in love with you. And yeah. And I was like, oh.
Do they always? Because sometimes I feel so blindsided because I feel like he is convincing me or she is convincing me so much and everyone how much in love. Then they go and meet the family, everything. I'm like, are they really that in love with everybody?
No, I don't think so. I think that like now there's like a theme now. Like they say, I love you to 2 people, which like Clayton Eckhart did that, he's in a kind of a paternity he's been in the news lately. Google that. That's big news. But yeah, so like I mean, I think it's different, obviously, But he had told me like early on when we went skinny dipping, like, I know it's you, and now I just have to go through the motions with all the other girls. And you're making a television show. So like, of course you have to, like, there's a format.
Okay.
And that format doesn't really change that much. So like the leads actually have a really tough job of like carrying the show, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think that the other two knew that they were not the ones before he came to you?
Yes. He told
They
me
knew they weren't
after
the
the
one.
fact. He knew. Yeah. And he was
Did
like,
they know?
I kept, no, I don't think they had a clue. I think
So-
one did. She's done other podcasts where she's like, everybody was like, I knew it was Courtney. Like it was obvious, but like she was like, you know, he didn't pick her, and then I come in and we get engaged. But yeah, she was like, they were like, just cry on camera. And she said, like, well, you guys let me get McDonald's afterwards if I do. Like, she wasn't that upset.
So you said it was boring. Were you at all in love? Did you like him, or were you just so caught up in the experience that you were like, oh, this must be right because they vetted me and they vetted him, so we're like a love match?
You know, I liked him. I watched him on Ashley Bear season. She didn't pick him. He proposed. They let him get down on one knee, which is also something they make you do. Like a lot of people, I know. And like, they just presented him so well. I was like, a winemaker in Sonoma, check. Like I was living in LA, like dating celebrities. Like, I'm like, this guy's ready to get married. Check, check. We also had an Arizona connection. He grew up here. I grew up here. But like, I was really attracted to him. I will say, like, he's one of those people, like, to me, he looks like Adam Driver, who I find really attractive. He's one of my celebrity crushes. There's just something like it, but I will say he looks more attractive in person. He had a really bad hairdo on our season.
Yes.
But he just like seemed like a normal guy who was ready. I personally think he's a little bit like what I've discovered after the shows. I felt like he was like Peter Pan. Like he was not ready to settle down. And I remember Chris Harrison said to me, like, we thought we hooked you up with this like great guy, and he just turned out to be a pompous asshole, is what Chris Harrison said to me. And but like I said, like a few years later, he didn't talk to me after the book. We reconnected, and we actually like hung out for a weekend in Santa Barbara, and like thought like, should we try to make this work again? This is like years later. And I've talked about it like here and there, but like it just, yeah, I still don't think he was ready. He's like, I just panicked again. And then I met my husband.
Now?
Like,
yes.
no.
And you are. Do you think he's following you? Is he listening to every podcast?
Maybe. I asked on my podcast.
Wait, Courtney, you're frozen.
Did you just say that you asked him
and
to
out
come
of
on your
respect
podcast?
for my girlfriend? Like, I'm super. I did. I asked him to come on my podcast, and he said no. He said he has a girlfriend who it just wouldn't be respectful. And I'm not bring up all this. I just wanted to be like, hey, like, let's talk about your experience as a bachelor. Bars.
Yeah.
Hello? Do you want me to turn my camera off? Sorry.
Yeah.
It keeps freezing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I think that help. Do you guys use the video? That might help. Let me.
We have the video,
see.
like we have the front for like.
Sorry, and I have full bar. What the frick?
Wow.
So sorry, our internet is it's freezing.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, I can. Okay, I'm sorry. It took a second. I can hear you now.
Perfect.
So what? I mean, gosh, we could. I mean, I want to be on the set of Bachelor. I need to see this in my real life. We could ask you questions forever, but what does life look like now?
We'll wrap it up. But how is life everything you dreamed of and more?
And did the Bachelor, was it a positive thing in the end? Looking at where your life is now.
Yes, I don't think I would have met my husband had I not gone on the show. And I had some really fun experiences, you guys. I dated a pretty big celebrity for a while. I kept that very private. And
could you make it public now?
I can't. And I've been trying to get him on the podcast, and he won't come on. But I
you can Google it, right?
No, it's not. It's very
It's
secretive,
private.
but I dated some pretty interesting men that treated me very well.
Ooh.
And yeah, but you guys, I have breaking news. I'm actually pregnant with my third. And
Whoa!
yeah, I'm going to announce it with People Magazine next week. I think this comes out later in the month, so
Yeah.
that's good. But yeah, so I can't wait to talk to you guys about all the things. But yeah, I have 2 kids. I have a boy, a girl. My husband is such a dreamboat. Like he's just edible to me, and I just yeah, everything is good. I finally have everything I've always dreamt of.
How did you meet him?
I slid into his DMs on Insta.
Love
Yeah, he
that.
had been liking my photos. But the thing is he knew who I was from the show,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I knew there was a girl from Arizona too." And I had moved back here from LA, and he'd been liking my photos for 2 years. So I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, have we met before?" He's like, "I would have remembered meeting you." And we went out 3 days later, and he moved in 4 months later, and I got pregnant like months later after that, and we just lit it up. Like, I was 36 at the time, like, or 37, and I just knew it. And I just feel like I've got the best guy. I just love him so
Oh,
much.
I'm
And
a
he's such
happy
a good
ending.
dad too. Like, and now, so we're having a third. It's going to get real wild up in here.
It
I mean, it's really, really fun though. And is the nude still floating around on the internet that your kids can find, or is it gone?
My husband said that after we started dating, he's like, I Googled you. And I was like, ooh, you should have done your homework first. Like, it's like all these like clickbait stuff. Dated
Oh,
Jesse
yeah.
Metcalf, the gardener from freaking Real Housewives, and Adrian Grenier. And I was talking about penis sizes, and he's like, Courtney, our kids someday could read this. I'm like, well, we're going to tell them that Mama is a New York Times bestselling author. And you know what? Boom shakalaka. Like,
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
That is right.
exactly.
And there will be so much on the internet by then.
They won't even be able to filter it.
They'll be so bored by what we have to offer as, from 15 years ago, they won't even know.
Yeah.
It will be washed out to sea by then. And so he got over it pretty freaking quick. That's for sure.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, where can everybody, tell us again what your podcast is called and where they can find more about you.
Oh, okay. I love my podcast. It's so much fun. It's After Reality with Courtney Robertson, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I also talk about like the reality of parenthood. And I love connecting with moms and the unfiltered, which you guys do so great. I love that because it's not all, like what you see on social media. So, and I don't have a huge following on Instagram. I was before the time, like I said, but I'm at Bug Robertson. Bad name. It's my nickname. Bug Robertson, Robertson. And yeah, then listen along. I think that you'll get a kick out of it.
I think so. Behind the scenes,
can't wait. Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to be on your podcast, so head on over there and you can get more of all of it over there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.